Little Women, the version from 1994, which is actually the third movie adaptation of a beloved novel. The first one came out all the way back in 1933, then the second one in 1949, and then this one in 1994. And finally, we have a wholly new one directed by Greta Gerwig being released just next week. And that new version is really what prompted me to check out the older film, as it was rumored to be quite good. And also then for the new one, I'd have something to compare it to, as I haven't read the actual book. So, 1994 film stars Winona Ryder, Christian Bale, Kirsten Dunst, Claire Danes, and Susan Sarandon. It tells the story of the March family, four sisters living together with their parents right after Civil War. They're an educated family but have fallen on harder times. You can see it in the way they almost have to ration food or pass down clothes from older sisters to younger ones. But throughout it all, they still have it in them to help other families around the neighborhood who have it even worse. And crucially, they also have a lot of sisterly love for one another, and together, the sisters really facilitate each other's passions and talents. Jo wants to become a writer, Meg is apparently a good actress, Beth plays the piano really well, and Amy has a knack for painting. So, overall, it's kind of a coming of age story dressed up in period clothes and combined with that slice of life picture of how life looked like in those times for those kinds of people, and especially women. There is that theme, of course, of emancipation and independence that especially Jo is pushing as a character, but I think it's balanced quite nicely, especially by the other sisters who don't necessarily share the same outlook on life, the same plans and goals for life. While we do mostly focus on Jo and her experiences, I don't think it can be said that there is one main overarching plotline in the film. It doesn't really have a specific place to get to. It's more about the journey and the experiences than the end result. And in that way, I thought it was much like reading a long novel, especially with the different seasons and years in the film feeling like different chapters in the book. Because the timeline of the film is actually quite significant. We first spent, I think, around 2 years or something with the March sisters. Then there's a time skip of 4 years, and then the second half of the story again takes a few more years, passing. And I do think that length of time to cover without too many explosive events really happening impacts the pacing a little bit. The movie is pretty damn slow and at times even too slow for my liking. But I also do think that for the most part, the performances and the atmosphere of the film make up for it and balance it out. Especially Winona Ryder and Claire Danes are excellent in this. I also thought it was remarkable how much Christian Bale from the 1990s looks like modern day Timothée Chalamet from the trailers of the new adaptation. It's like almost like they're clones. And the atmosphere that I talked about has to do with the more technical stuff as well. The costumes, the sets, the color grading used to give the film that specific warm, old-timey feel. It's all there, and it fits the story it's telling. I'm still not sure how I feel about the ending. I do think it does, close down to most of the plot lines, but in comparison to how lifelike and unobvious the rest of the film was, it almost felt a bit artificial, I guess, that it just came together too nicely. In any case, I think Little Women was a decent period film, and while it probably wasn't so good that I'll return to it in the future, I am looking forward to seeing the Gerwig's new adaptation and her spin on this tale.